When a child refuses to listen to the advice of a mother, trouble often waits just around the corner. When a child ignores the warnings of her parents, thinking they are old-fashioned or overly cautious, the consequences can be devastating. When a child is told there is danger in the chosen path yet still believes they know better, life has a way of teaching painful lessons. Especially young adults, standing on the edge of independence, often don't realize that a parent's words are not chains to hold them back, but shields to keep them safe. I thought my parents were just being dramatic, until one decision changed everything.
Welcome to Afrifun Tale, where deep African stories speak truth and open your eyes. These are more than just tales. They carry wisdom, warnings, and the voice of our ancestors. Before we start, drop your thoughts in the comments, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell because one story here might touch your soul. Now, relax your mind, open your heart, and listen. This story may change how you see life forever.
When a child refuses to listen to the advice of a mother, trouble often waits just around the corner. When a child ignores the warnings of her parents, thinking they are old-fashioned or overly cautious, the consequences can be devastating. When a child is told there is danger in the chosen path yet still believes they know better, life has a way of teaching painful lessons. Especially young adults, standing on the edge of independence, often don't realize that a parent's words are not chains to hold them back, but shields to keep them safe. I thought my parents were just being dramatic, until one decision changed everything. Young adults often believe they are ready for the world, but sometimes the loudest warning comes from the quiet voice at home. This is the story every son and daughter needs to hear before it's too late. The night I walked out, my mother's last words echoed in my mind. Don't go down that road. But I realized too late, some warnings aren't about control, they're about survival. They warned me, I laughed it off. But the road I chose led somewhere I never imagined. For every young adult who thinks their parents just don't get it, please understand, their words are worth more than you know. I didn't listen to my mother's warnings, and it cost me everything. They say the voice of a mother is like the voice of God on earth, soft enough to comfort you, but strong enough to save you. I didn't believe that. I thought I was grown. I thought I knew life. I thought my mother was just being dramatic, until the day I lost everything. This is not just my story. It is my confession, my regret, and my warning to every young adult who thinks their parents don't understand.
My name is Zophren, and I am the only child of my mother, Talita, a woman whose very presence commanded respect. She was a teacher by profession, but beyond the classroom, she was a strict, no-nonsense disciplinarian who believed that principles were not negotiable. She carried herself with dignity, spoke with purpose, and never bent her rules for anyone, not even me. My father, Bacchus, was her complete opposite. Where she was calm and orderly, he was volatile and unpredictable. He was a man whose temper could ignite at the slightest spark. He had little patience, even less restraint, and a habit of making choices without considering their consequences. My mother's strength and structure held our home together, while my father's storms often threatened to tear it apart. Despite the pain and humiliation, my mother stayed in that marriage. I would hear her on countless evenings, her voice low but heavy with false reassurance, speaking to my grandmother over the phone. "Mommy, put your mind at rest. Don't listen to side talk. We will be fine. He is the father of my child. How can I leave him? That will affect my daughter. I don't want my labor over her to be in vain. She needs a father figure in her life."
You know how people talk.
she would continue, her voice trembling beneath a layer of stubborn pride. They will say I failed as a wife. They will say I broke my own home. And what will happen to my daughter if she grows up without her father? I want her to have what I didn't, a complete family, no matter the cost to me. Her words were laced with a desperate kind of hope. I didn't understand it then, but now I know. She wasn't only talking to my grandmother. She was trying to convince herself over and over again that staying was worth the sacrifice. My grandmother would sigh deeply. I would sit quietly, pretending not to hear, but every word entered my soul. My mother raised me with iron discipline, the kind that left no room for confusion about right and wrong. There were rules for everything: what I could wear, how I should speak to elders, the hours I was allowed outside, even the friends I could keep. Neighbors often called me the disciplined child. My friends too respected her firmness. They knew there was no bending her will, no charming her into leniency. Through primary school and all the way into secondary school, I lived firmly within the boundaries she set, learning early that her word was final and that stepping outside her expectations was a risk I wasn't willing to take. It shaped not only my behavior, but the way I saw the world, a place where discipline was both a shield and a chain, protecting me while holding me in place. But everything changed when I entered university. Suddenly, I was free from my mother's daily watch. The discipline loosened. I discovered the nightlife, parties, clubs, concerts. I wanted to taste it all. My mother's calls always carried the same warnings. So friend, remember where you came from. Be careful. Stay focused on your studies. But I told myself she was just overreacting. Then came the night I met Pakolo. He was tall, strongly built, with the look of someone who had everything in control. His smile was warm, his clothes expensive, his perfume intoxicating. He asked for my number, and I gave it without hesitation. Soon, he was taking me to the most expensive restaurants, the most exclusive vacation spots, both locally and abroad. He spoiled me with money, gifts, and attention. One day, I decided to take him home to meet my parents. That night, after dinner, my mother called me to her bedside. She looked at me with those eyes that could see through my soul. "My dear Zophren, have you found out about this man? What does he do for a living? How can someone so young drive such exotic cars? Who are his friends? You are not just marrying wealth, you are marrying a person. You need to know the kind of spirit he carries." The next morning, she took me to see a wise old man on the mountain. We told him everything. He prayed and gave a serious warning. "Cut all ties with this man immediately. There is danger ahead." We went home. My mother repeated the warning, but I had already made up my mind in secret. I wasn't leaving him. The money, the luxury, the attention, it had eaten deep into me. When I returned to campus, I continued seeing him. One day, he invited me to spend the night at his house. For the first time, I agreed without a second thought. The driver came for me in a luxury car. His bungalow was massive, with a large compound, multiple expensive cars, and high security. Maids and cooks filled the place. They looked at me strangely as I walked in, eyes full of something I couldn't read. That night, after a movie and roasted chicken, he brought out a bottle of wine that looked exactly like blood. He drank first, then I sipped. That was the last thing I remembered. I woke up the next morning surrounded by 7 hefty men, including Pakolo. I was wearing only a towel. My body felt strange. I went to the bathroom and saw blood. My virginity was gone. I cried. At the hospital, I was told my womb was damaged beyond repair. In that moment, every warning my mother had ever given me replayed in my head. Regret hit me like a hurricane. When I told my mother, she broke down. See my life, Zophren. Upon everything I sacrificed for you, look at what you have brought upon yourself. Who will marry a woman without a womb? No marriage, no grandchildren. You have jeopardized your future. That night, the pain was too much for her heart to bear. She died of a heart attack. I sent my mother to an early grave. At her funeral, people thought I was just mourning like any child would. But inside, guilt was eating me alive. My father died 2 years later. Now, 10 years have passed. I have inherited everything they left, but I live daily in sorrow and regret. So today, I break my silence. Young adults, hear me. Your parents' voice is like God's voice on earth. When they warn you, listen. When they advise you, take heed. A word is enough for the wise.
If this story touched you, don't keep it to yourself. Like, share, and tell someone who needs to hear it. Here at Afrifun Tale, we share stories that teach, warn, and bless. Subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss when another powerful story drops. Till next time, stay sharp, stay wise, and remember, every story is a seed to grow your life.